In 1963, Sabah and Sarawak signed up to create Malaysia with specific promises written into the Malaysia Agreement or MA63. Those promises cover their special status as founding partners, control over immigration and land, and the fair share of revenues from their own resources. Fast forward to 2026, and those same promises are now the center of heated debates, new government dashboards tracking progress, and even talk of something called BorneoExit. The core question today is simple. Has Malaysia kept its side of the deal, and what happens if it hasn't? Let's walk through exactly what's going on right now, step by step, using the biggest flashpoints like oil, money, and power. Start with the money fight because it's the loudest one. Sabah was promised 40% of the extra revenue the federal government makes from the state's taxes and resources. That's straight from the Constitution. For decades, this wasn't paid properly or transparently. In early 2026, the federal government bumped up interim payments to about 600 million ringgits a year and called it a record step forward. But Sabah leaders say no. That's just a temporary patch. They want the full 40% locked in as a permanent right, not something the government in Kuala Lumpur can adjust whenever it wants. Sarawak has a similar complaint over oil and gas. They argue that MA63 gives them a bigger say in those resources pulled from their waters, but recent legal reviews show the federal side still controls most of it. Just 2 weeks ago, a politician from Gabungan Rakyat Sabah urged a full legal check on these oil rights, and Sarawak Youth Wings called out what they see as narrow federal interpretations of the agreement. It's like two partners in a business who agreed to split profits a certain way at the start, but one partner has been keeping the books and now says the split looks different. This isn't just about cash, it's about power and respect. MA63 listed 17 specific points for Sabah and 18 for Sarawak to protect their differences from Peninsular Malaysia. Think immigration checks at their airports, laws for native customs, and religion staying a state matter. Over time, federal laws chipped away at some of that. A big fix came in 2021 when the Constitution was amended to name Sabah and Sarawak as equal partners again, not just regular states. That was symbolic progress. But now in 2026, they want more seats in parliament that match their role, veto power on laws affecting their rights, and regular talks before big federal decisions. The government just launched an MA63 dashboard on January 28 to track all this publicly like a progress report card. Sabah MPs called the King's recent address hopeful for faster movement. Still, East Malaysians point to lagging roads, schools, and internet in rural Borneo, while peninsular cities boom on oil money from their side. They feel like they're funding the big pizza but getting small slices. Oil and gas sit at the heart of it all. Sabah and Sarawak produce a huge chunk of Malaysia's energy exports, but Petronas, the national oil company, handles most of the cash flow under federal rules. Sarawak says MA63 lets them manage their own offshore fields better, and they've already won some court cases to prove it. Sabah wants the same clarity. No one's getting a full divorce from Petronas yet, but the fights are in courtrooms and parliament, dragging on year after year. Leaders in Borneo say this isn't about greed. It's about using their own wealth to fix their own problems like poor healthcare or unpaved roads instead of sending it across the sea. That brings us to the edgier talk, BorneoExit. Some groups in Sabah and Sarawak whispers about leaving Malaysia entirely if MA63 isn't fixed. It's not a real plan with steps or votes. It's more like a warning shot to show how fed up people feel. Legally, breaking away would mean rewriting the whole constitution, facing economic collapse without federal support, and likely sparking a national crisis. No major party pushes it openly, but it pops up in comments, protests, and side conversations because decades of unkept promises breed doubt. If the original deal from 1963 isn't honored, why keep playing by it? Remember Brunei? They looked at the same deal, saw the loss of oil control and royal status, and walked away weeks before Malaysia launched. BorneoExit Talk today echoes that old caution from across the island. So, where does this land in 2026? Progress is real but slow. The MA63 dashboard shows commitments like restoring native court powers and state land rights. Sarawak got broader autonomy in some areas, though oil stays tricky. Sabah's 40% revenue battle heads to more negotiations. Federal leaders call it a top agenda, and coalitions need Borneo votes to survive, so no one wants a blowup. A new generation of leaders in East Malaysia isn't asking for extras. They want the 1963 contract enforced in full autonomy, fair money, and equal say. Courts will decide some pieces, elections others, and daily talks the rest. The stakes matter for all Malaysians. If Sabah and Sarawak get satisfied, Malaysia strengthens as a true federation where distant regions trust the center. If not, resentment festers, coalitions wobble, and the whole country questions its glue. This isn't yesterday's history. It's today's politics playing out in budgets, speeches, and that new online dashboard anyone can check. The original deal said Sabah and Sarawak were founding partners, not junior states. In 2026, they're reminding everyone of that starting line, pushing to get back there before the map changes again.